The day after my divorce was finalized, my ex-husband showed up at my door with a smirk. "I just wanted to say goodbye. Before I take everything you own." His new girlfriend laughed. "You'll regret ever leaving him." I smiled and handed him an envelope. "Funny," I whispered, "because I just made a call you're going to hate." When he opened it, his jaw dropped in shock. The morning after my divorce was finalized, I woke up to the unfamiliar stillness of my new apartment in Chicago's Lincoln Park. The walls were bare, the furniture sparse, a stark contrast to the home I'd left behind. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air as I sat alone at the small kitchen table, the weight of recent events pressing heavily on my shoulders. As I sipped my coffee, my phone buzzed with a message from my best friend, Sarah. "Thinking of you today. How are you holding up?" I stared at the screen for a moment before typing back, "It's a lot to process, but I'm managing. Thanks for checking in." Just as I set the phone down, a sharp knock echoed through the apartment. Startled, I glanced at the clock, 8:30 a.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. Cautiously, I approached the door and peered through the peephole. My heart sank. Standing there was my ex-husband, Mark, with his new girlfriend, Jessica, clinging to his arm. Taking a deep breath to steady myself, I opened the door. Mark's lips curled into a smug grin. "Morning, Ava. Just thought I'd drop by to say goodbye, before I take everything you own." Jessica let out a mocking laugh, her eyes glinting with malice. "You'll regret ever leaving him." I felt a surge of anger but forced myself to remain calm. Without a word, I reached into the drawer of the console table by the door and pulled out an envelope. I handed it to Mark, leaning in slightly. "Funny," I whispered, "because I just made a call you're going to hate." Mark's brow furrowed as he tore open the envelope. As he read the contents, his face paled, and his jaw tightened. "What the hell is this?" he demanded, his voice rising. Jessica snatched the papers from his hands, scanning them quickly. Her expression shifted from confidence to shock. "You told me she didn't know." I crossed my arms, meeting Mark's glare with unwavering resolve. "I know everything," I said firmly. The documents detailed Mark's fraudulent activities during our marriage. Unbeknownst to him, I had spent months gathering evidence of his embezzlement from the company we co-owned. With the help of a private investigator and a forensic accountant, I had compiled a comprehensive dossier. The call I mentioned was to our attorney, ensuring that this information would be used in court to prevent Mark from claiming any more of our shared assets. Mark's face contorted with rage. "You think you can outsmart me?" Jessica, realizing the gravity of the situation, took a step back. "I didn't sign up for this," she muttered, before turning on her heel and walking away. I watched as Mark's facade crumbled. He opened his mouth to retort but seemed to think better of it. With a final scowl, he turned and stormed off, leaving me standing in the doorway. Closing the door, I leaned against it, exhaling deeply. The weight that had been pressing on my shoulders for years felt lighter. I knew the battle wasn't entirely over, but for the first time in a long while, I felt empowered and in control of my own destiny. The rest of the day passed in a blur. I met Sarah for lunch at our favorite cafe, the Green Bean, nestled in the heart of Lincoln Park. As we sipped on lattes and nibbled on avocado toast, I recounted the morning's events. "I can't believe he had the audacity to show up like that," Sarah said, shaking her head. "Neither can I admitted. But I'm glad I was prepared." Sarah reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "You're stronger than you know." "I'm proud of you." As evening approached, I returned to my apartment, feeling a sense of peace. I curled up on the couch with a good book, the city's skyline twinkling through the window. For the first time in years, I felt hopeful about the future. Over the next few weeks, the legal proceedings moved swiftly. With the evidence I had provided, Mark's claims to my assets were dismissed. He faced legal consequences for his fraudulent activities, and I was able to move forward without the looming threat of his interference. I focused on rebuilding my life, reconnecting with old friends, and pursuing passions I had set aside during my tumultuous marriage. I enrolled in a photography class at the Chicago Art Institute, finding joy in capturing the beauty of the city through my lens. One afternoon, while exploring the vibrant murals in the Pilsen neighborhood, I met Daniel, a fellow photography enthusiast. We struck up a conversation about lighting techniques and composition, and he invited me to join a local photography club. As weeks turned into months, Daniel and I grew closer. His kindness and genuine nature were a stark contrast to the deceit I had experienced with Mark. He became a source of support and encouragement, reminding me of the goodness that still existed in the world. Despite the progress I was making, there were still moments when the past haunted me. Sleepless nights filled with memories of Mark's betrayal would creep in, threatening to pull me back into a spiral of doubt and self-pity. But each time, I reminded myself of how far I'd come and the strength it took to get here. One evening, after a particularly vivid nightmare, I found myself standing on the balcony, looking out over the city. The cool breeze brushed against my skin, grounding me in the present. I realized that healing wasn't a linear process, and it was okay to have setbacks. What mattered was that I kept moving forward. With the support of friends like Sarah and Daniel, I continued to rebuild. I started volunteering a few months past. Life was finally starting to feel normal again. My days were full: photography classes, long walks along Lake Michigan, and nights laughing over wine with Sarah. I was smiling more. Sleeping better. The dark fog of my marriage was lifting. And then, out of nowhere, it started again. It began with an envelope. Not the kind Mark had once opened, but the kind that made your chest tighten. It was plain white, no return address. I almost didn't open it. But curiosity won. Inside was a single photograph. Me and Daniel. We were sitting at an outdoor cafe in Wicker Park, laughing. Someone had taken the picture from across the street, through the glass. On the back, in black marker, "He's not who you think he is." That night, I barely slept. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I couldn't shake the feeling in my gut. Who sent it? Why? Was someone following me? Watching me? The next day, I told Sarah. She narrowed her eyes and grabbed the photo from my hand. "Creepy as hell," she muttered. "Could it be Mark?" "I don't know," I said. "It's his style. But he doesn't know Daniel." "Are you sure?" she asked. I wasn't. I decided not to tell Daniel. Not yet. I needed to figure things out first. That weekend, while Daniel was in the bathroom during one of our photography meetups, I glanced at his phone. I know, I shouldn't have. But I had to know if something was off. It buzzed. A message preview lit up the screen. "Unknown number, tell her yet?" He came back before I could open it. I shoved his phone back on the table and smiled like nothing was wrong. But inside, my hands were shaking. That night, I followed him. It was stupid, reckless. But I waited until he said goodnight and walked off toward the blue line. I followed from a distance, ducking behind parked cars. He didn't go to the train. He turned down an alley and got into a black sedan. I took a picture of the license plate. The next morning, I sent it to a guy Sarah knew, Jake, a PI who owed her a favor. Within 24 hours, I had a name. The car was registered to a woman named Melissa Hartman. I didn't know a Melissa Hartman. But Mark did. She was his old assistant. The same one who resigned suddenly right around the time I started collecting financial records. Everything clicked. Daniel had walked into my life 2 weeks after Melissa disappeared from his. Right when I was starting to make legal moves. Right when I was most vulnerable. And now? Now I was being watched again. The photo, the message on Daniel's phone, the car, it wasn't random. I confronted Daniel 2 days later. I asked him straight out, "Do you know Melissa Hartman?" He froze. Then he said, too quickly, "No." I stared at him. "Don't lie to me." He swallowed. "Okay. Yes. But it's not what you think." I didn't speak. Just waited. She reached out to me, he said. Said you needed someone. Said you were in a rough place and didn't trust anyone. And you thought pretending to like me was the solution? I snapped. He looked genuinely hurt. At first, yeah. But then I got to know you. And it changed. I swear, I wasn't spying. Not anymore. Not anymore, I repeated. He didn't deny it. I left. For 3 days, I didn't answer his calls. Sarah wanted to go full scorched earth. Call the cops. Send the photo and Daniel's messages to my lawyer. She had a whole plan laid out. But I needed more than just drama, I needed truth. Real proof. What else did Mark have up his sleeve? On the 4th day, another envelope showed up. Inside, a USB drive. I plugged it into my laptop, half expecting a virus. It wasn't a virus. It was worse. It was audio. A recording. Several, actually. Each one a phone call between Mark and Daniel. The first one started like this: Mark, just keep her distracted. I need another month to move the rest offshore. My stomach turned. My hands shook. Sarah was right. He wasn't just trying to hurt me emotionally. He was still stealing. And this time I wasn't going to let it slide. I replayed the audio over and over that night. There were 7 files on the USB. 7 separate conversations between Daniel and Mark. The last one was the worst. Daniel, she's asking questions now. Mark, then wrap it up. Either you throw her off or we burn it all. Burn it all. I didn't know what it was yet. But I had a feeling it wasn't just the company money. The next morning, I made 3 copies of the audio files, one for Sarah, one for my lawyer, and one I kept in a hidden place at my apartment. I didn't trust anyone now. I needed to confront Daniel, but this time, not alone. I met him in a public park near the lake. I made sure Sarah was watching from a bench nearby. He showed up looking tired, like he hadn't slept either. I need to know what you meant by burn it all, I asked straight out. What exactly were you helping Mark cover up? Daniel looked down at the ground. His shoulders slumped. It's not just embezzlement, he said. He was laundering money through fake consulting fees. Not just the business. Through your name too. I blinked. My name? He nodded. He forged your signature. Set up dummy accounts under your old social security number. Some in the Caymans. Some in Belize. That's why he wanted everything. It was never about the furniture or the condo. I felt dizzy. He's setting me up? I asked, already knowing the answer. Yes. I wanted to scream. I wanted to punch something. Instead, I whispered, why didn't you tell me this from the start? Daniel swallowed. Because I was scared. I thought he was bluffing. But when I tried to back out, he threatened my sister. That was the first time I saw Daniel cry. I didn't feel sorry for him. But I also didn't want another person dragged down by Mark. So we made a deal. Daniel gave me everything: emails, text logs, wire records. In return, I wouldn't name him publicly. Not yet. Not if he helped me stop Mark for good. That same night, I met with my lawyer, Melanie. She'd always suspected Mark was hiding more, but this was deeper than we imagined. She brought in a federal contact from the white-collar crime unit. Quietly. Off the record. They needed a few more pieces before they could make a move. That's when we came up with the plan. We'd let Mark think he was winning. I went quiet. No more legal threats. No more subpoenas. Just radio silence. Meanwhile, Daniel kept acting like everything was fine. He even told Mark I had given up and was moving on. We let him get cocky again. 3 weeks passed. And then Mark made his final move. One Monday morning, I got a knock at the door, again. I expected it this time. It was a courier with a formal notice. Mark had filed a civil claim against me for business damages, claiming I had interfered with his operations and cost him over $2.5 million. The gall. The straight-up sociopathic boldness. I smiled. He was walking right into it. Melanie submitted our evidence the next day, straight to federal authorities. Not just my audio and Daniel's files, but years of tax fraud, stolen employee funds, and cross-border transfers using forged IDs. But the real twist came 2 days later. When I got a call from the FBI. Mark had disappeared. Gone. His office, empty. Bank accounts drained. The last ping from his phone was at O'Hare International Airport. But there were no flight records under his name. No customs activity. Nothing. Daniel swore he didn't know. And I believed him, oddly enough. 2 more days passed, then I got another envelope. This time, it was handwritten. Just one sentence on a torn piece of yellow legal pad paper. You never really knew me. No signature. No return address. Just those words. I showed it to Melanie. She brought it to the FBI. They said it didn't match any of Mark's usual handwriting. Which meant someone else had sent it. Someone else was involved. Someone still watching. I stopped sleeping. Every creak in the hallway, every buzz from my phone, it sent my heart racing. The envelope. The note. The disappearance. I kept the blinds closed and my lights off more than on. Even Sarah started to worry. You need to breathe, she said one night, sitting on my couch with a blanket over her knees. He's gone. You should be free now. But that was the thing. I didn't feel free. Then came the gala. It was a fundraiser for a local youth art program, an event I normally would have avoided, but my photography class had work being shown. And Daniel was the one who convinced me to go. I'll be there, he said. It'll be public. Safe. I wore black. Simple dress. Pulled my hair back. Tried to look like someone who wasn't unraveling. The night started quietly enough. People mingled, laughed, drank wine. I stood near the gallery section, admiring someone else's portrait when I heard a voice behind me. Ava. I turned slowly. It was Jessica. The same Jessica who laughed at my doorstep the day after my divorce. Only now, she looked different. Thinner. Pale. Nervous. She held a glass of champagne, untouched. Her hands shook. I need to talk to you, she said. Please. I nodded, stunned. We stepped outside into the quiet courtyard. She took a breath. Mark's gone. I mean really gone. And I don't just mean disappeared. He's not coming back. What do you mean? I asked. I mean he's dead. I stared at her. She looked down. His body washed up in the Des Plaines River 2 nights ago. Fake passport in his pocket. They ID'd him through his dental records. My knees buckled slightly. I sat down on a low stone ledge. Jessica sat beside me. He told me, before he left, that he'd set up a fail-safe. If anything happened to him, someone else would keep an eye on you. Make sure you didn't talk. Or didn't, find more. I felt sick. So what, there's a whole network? She shook her head. No. Just one more person. Melissa. She's the one who sent that note. She's been watching you for weeks. I stared at her. Why are you telling me this? Jessica's eyes filled with tears. Because I helped him. 4 years. I falsified invoices. I covered for him. I kept your name off reports, but I knew he was setting you up. I didn't know how far he'd go. I should have screamed at her. I should have walked away. But I didn't. I just asked, so now what? She reached into her purse and pulled out a USB drive. This is everything I have. Emails. Wire transfers. Passwords. Some of it links to Melissa. Some to the offshore accounts he never mentioned. I took it, barely able to process it all. The rest of the night was a blur. I didn't even go back inside. I called Sarah from the sidewalk, and she picked me up without asking a single question. 2 days later, the FBI confirmed the death. And the data on Jessica's drive blew the whole thing open. Melissa was arrested on charges of conspiracy and fraud. Daniel was brought in for questioning again, but true to his word, he'd handed over everything. They let him go. I thought that would be the end. But the final confrontation hadn't happened yet. That came a week later. Daniel showed up at my door. Uninvited. I almost didn't answer. But I did. He stood there holding a small framed photo. It was one I'd taken of him at the lake, weeks before everything fell apart. He didn't say anything at first. Then, I know I was part of it. I know I hurt you. And I can't take it back. But I wanted you to know I never planned to fall for you. That wasn't the job. That was real. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just looked at him and said, the damage is done, Daniel. Whether you meant it or not. He nodded. Set the photo down by my feet. Then turned and walked away. I didn't stop him. In the weeks that followed, the dust settled. Jessica entered witness protection. Melissa pled guilty. The money Mark stole? Most of it was gone forever. But my name was cleared. I was free. But it didn't feel like victory. The betrayal cut deep. I trusted the wrong people. I ignored the red flags. I let love blind me, twice. I still see Daniel's face sometimes, when I walk past the lake. And Mark's voice echoes in my head when I stare at blank documents or new bank statements. But I'm learning. Slowly. I still have Sarah. I still have my photos. I still have my name. That's something. And maybe that's enough. For now.